Welcome to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where you can learn and be inspired by real-world examples of how technology is transforming businesses and reshaping industries in a language everyone can understand. Here is your host, Neil C. Hughes.
Welcome back to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast, where, yes, I'm still obsessed with all things technology, just like you all listening. But also, I like to think I know when I can put the phone down. Now, in March, I'm heading to No Longer Virtual in Chicago, where Sarah Elkins is bringing her online connections into one room so they can meet in person and connect beyond the keyboard. Now, because I always say technology works best when it brings people together, I'm particularly excited about that event and the intimate atmosphere that it conjures up rather than another soulless conference. But a new platform recently caught my eye too, and it was called Pod. Pod, which is a networking app to help entrepreneurs grow their business. In a nutshell, Pod utilises location data and artificial intelligence to help professionals connect with people who have similar interests out there that are all within your close proximity. And Dr. Joe Weber founded Pod as a way to help entrepreneurs, small business owners and freelancers network and connect in person and grow their businesses more effectively. And that could be as simple as sat in an airport, having 2 hours to kill, switching on the app and seeing if there's any like-minded individuals around to discuss a topic. At least that's my understanding. I could be completely wrong. So I invited her on the podcast today to find out more. And she gracefully accepted my invitation. So come with me all the way to Los Angeles so we can speak with Dr. Joe Weber. So a massive warm welcome to the show. Can you tell the listeners a little about who you are and what you do?
Sure. Good morning. My name is Joe Weber. You can probably tell I'm originally from the UK, though I do live in the United States now in Los Angeles, which I call London by the sea because it has all of the fun of London and some good weather. So, yeah, I'm a long-time scientist out of the UK. I've been in the United States now 20 years. I moved over. I came over really just for 6 months, a 6-month gig. I thought I'd come to the US, make some money, and then go back home. And, of course, I haven't made it back home yet. I came up through the world of quantum physics, and I have a PhD in quantum physics. But as you learn quickly, there is really not a lot of application for quantum physics, real-world application. I ended up running software companies. I'm now running my fifth software company. This company I'm running right now is called Pod. And the whole thing about Pod is we're trying to get you to meet each other. We're trying to get our mission is to bring people together.
And I'm so glad to hear about this story because I always say on this podcast, every single episode, that technology works best when it brings people together. So when I read an article about Pod, I think it was on VentureBeat in October, I think the line on there was, Pod is a new social network designed to help its members meet offline. So instead of connecting online, Pod wants you to meet your potential contacts and friends in person. So that quickly captured my attention for all the right reasons. But can you set the scene and tell me all about the story behind Pod and the inspiration to bring this venture to life?
Sure. And I think a lot of it is that life goes in cycles. And I think when you look, we got very excited when things like technology like Facebook came out and LinkedIn. And really, when you look back, those technologies really got us to take our friends and acquaintance and work colleagues and put them online and start communicating with them online. And I think the first generation of social media has been very much about that, really about, okay, Instagram, let's take photographs of everything and put them online so my friends can see things online. So it's really been kind of de-emphasizing the human-to-human interaction and focusing on this more, putting your data out there so that other people can see. And I think, when you look at this with something like the millennials coming through, we've created possibly the most lonely generation ever. 20% of millennials say they have no friends, not one. So you've got this generation that's just grown up on social media, and it's kind of a lonely place. So we took a look at this. We look at a lot of the networks, if you're a small business, and over 90% of the businesses in the world are what we call small to medium businesses, under 250 employees. when people think of companies, they think of Apple, Amazon, Google. There I am going through the tech companies, but Procter & Gamble, these companies represent less than 1% of the companies in the world. And when you look at small to medium-sized businesses, it's all about them meeting people and increasing their network, and trying to do it online really isn't working. So we felt the time was right, both professionally and socially, to try and bring a technology into play that would actually help people meet each other based on shared likes, dislikes, needs. But at the end of the day, get out there and actually meet people.
And as this is a tech show, I do feel compelled to take a little look underneath the hood and ask you, can you tell me a little bit more about the app and how it utilizes location data and artificial intelligence to help these professionals connect with people who share these similar interests, all within a close proximity?
So, one of the things I think you've got to, and I am a big technologist, so I'm not kind of, sort of boo-hooing some of these tech plays out there, but, and I've always, I'm a scientist, I'm from a technical background. I think one of the beautiful things that we have with this device that everybody is holding in their hands right now, probably as people listening to your show right now, people are sitting there, they've still got their right hand holding the phone, right? Yeah. So we've got these controllers that go through life with us, and they can do amazing things for us. They can also hurt us in some ways. But one of the things that's in the power of our hand right now is the ability to really, on a map, visually see where things are. We can, for the first time ever, if you go back to when we used to go through map books, trying to take a trip with Dad in the car and everyone's pouring through the map trying to figure out where on earth you are. The world of GPS and how easy it's delivered through the handset has really revolutionized, I think, the way all of us travel and move around. Now, what we looked at was, what if we could use that to help people find each other? So one of the key things about Pod is, let's say I was running a session on photography. I'm going to teach anyone who wants to about how to shoot in low light with moving subjects, one of the hardest things. So let's say I was going to do that. I was going to be at a coffee bar, and I'm going to be there for a couple of hours, and I'm happy to talk to anybody about this topic. I could put that on the map, and then anybody who was out looking for something to do, they could see, if they Googled, if they hit photography, they would, if they search for photography, they'd find that session, and they could see where it is. They could hit the button, and the app would tell them how to get to wherever the session was. Likewise, if I was looking to meet a certain person, somebody with a certain skill set, let's say I'm new in the area, I'm looking to meet a real estate agent, a realtor, I click in homes for sale or realtor, the person pops up, and I can choose to connect to them there and then. So that really is how we're trying to use the proximity data. It's no good if I'm looking for a realtor to give me one in Chicago if I'm in Los Angeles. It's all about, I need somebody here. I need a photographer here in the local environment. I'd like a graphic designer here. So it's really about helping you find people in your local area. I'd like to go yoga. There's a free yoga session on the beach. Both socially and professionally, being able to find things to do and people to meet in the near proximity, if that makes sense.
It really does. And sorry to ask this question, but I'm sure it's one that you get asked straight away. But how do users deal with any unwanted attention on the Pod app and keep stalkers away from seeing their every move? Is anything in place there?
Absolutely. It was probably one of the first considerations on the problems that we might have side of the equation, right? And I have to tell you, it's one of the things I was quite happy with the Apple App Store. We've got our app in both the Apple App Store and the Google Play Store. Apple really pay attention to that. So when you submit an app like ours, which has a mapping function, I was just quite impressed about how much attention they paid to us having the ability to do things like, for instance, block a user. So, if somebody is bothering you, you can block them and then they can't ever see you again. We can make things very, very clear like that. So there are some features in there. You can choose to be visible on the map to everybody, except obviously anyone you've blocked. You could also choose that you just want your zip code. You want to be represented by your zip code. And then we don't pinpoint you on the map. We just put you in an area based on your zip code. So there's a couple of ways, you could be kind of, hey, here I am, here's my business, I run a flower shop, or I'm a hairdresser. So people can see you based on an absolute address if you want that. But you could also do it based on I'm in this 90250, or I'm in the SW18 1PR postal code.
So you overcame the privacy obstacles. You've created a solution to connect people offline as well as online. But of course, the secret to any technological solution out there is the adoption that makes it a success. So how has Pod been received? Do you have any figures you can share about the kind of people that have signed up and connections that Pod has connected throughout the world?
Yeah, so just to give you some background on this, as part of this, we merged with a company that's been connecting people for a number of years. So off the bat, we've got 5 million users. So if you download Pod today, you'll see quite a few people on the map, right? London, wherever you are, you're going to see people who are on the map. We're seeing a number of people who've had their accounts on the traditional Pod system, the one that we merged with, are keeping their system, their web app system, and they're also downloading the app. We've seen, we've had some really cool experiences. It's always fun at this part of a startup. You start to get some of the stories. We launched it, and one guy just started creating pods. So we contacted him because we can see this. We can see who's creating the pods. The pods are the meetings. I'm sorry, didn't explain that very well, but pods are like, let's say I'm a graphic designer, right? And I could hold a meeting and talk to people about graphic design. And I'm really using that. Maybe I'm a tax guy and I can talk to you about the new changes in GDPR, the law that everybody's trying to keep up with in the US. We're all trying to figure out GDPR, the European law. Maybe I hold a meeting about that. And really, I'm trying to meet new clients, but I hold this meeting, it goes out there and people can kind of find and join. So we can see meetings are going on all over the world, right? Doha, just places, Pakistan, the Philippines, Holland. This is one of the wonderful things. When you release an app, it goes out. If you release it on both app stores, it goes out to about 3.5 billion people immediately.
Wow.
So our app's only been out there for a few weeks, but we can see already we've got thousands of people using this, creating events, hosting these meetings, connecting to people. I don't have any fabulous statistics to give you right now, but I can tell you it's in the tens of thousands right now and building. Every day we're kind of seeing almost a doubling of the number of people finding us. And I think it's that kind of app that the more people use it, the more useful it becomes. In the US, we've seen adoption by a wrestlers network. So there's 30,000 members in this wrestlers network. And one of the things you can do within Pod is you can use it to keep your group together. So the wrestlers have their code for their group, and they can just go in and say, all right, this message is going to go out just to this particular group, or this meeting I'm going to hold is just for my wrestling group. So it allows groups and communities, it's kind of your community within a community, to stay together and communicate together, as well as giving them the ability to go out and meet new people. We had one story, like last week, I think it was, somebody was traveling on their holidays going through JFK, and they wanted to see if there was anybody there from their university, which was a university in the UK, as it happened, and they found somebody. So the two of them managed to get together and have a beer between flights. Well, I assume it was a beer. I don't know, that'd be cliche. But have a drink between flights and catch up. That's two people that never would have met, So we do have some lovely stories coming through.
I love stories like that. It's so powerful. And I also love the fact that you went out to create this platform to get people to meet offline and not just connecting online, but also that global community out there took what you offered them and created different uses for it too, like what the wrestlers were doing there. I mean, that must make you feel incredibly warm inside, how they've embraced it this way.
No, it really does. I mean, I'd never I've not been involved with the and this is not the what do you call it? The choreographed wrestling. This is real wrestlers, right?
Yeah.
So these guys have come through U.S. colleges and have stayed together over the years, or trying to connect over the years. But this gives them a great way of being able to meet each other and catch up with each other. And we've got the Olympic trials coming up in April for wrestling. So they're going to use Pod at the Olympic trials to try and, make sure they all connect with each other and stay in touch with the community.
Wow. And for anyone listening that is downloading the Pod app furiously while they're listening to us talk, you did say that they might have one hand on the phone. For those people, can you walk them through how to get set up and get the most out of the platform?
Sure. And I think, that you get the most out of the platform when you have, you have things out there and that you want to do and people that you want to meet. So I think one of the first things is really to think about, ideally, what are you looking for at the moment, or who would you love to meet at the moment? When you get in the app, there's a piece where you put in your profile information, and some people really go light on this, and that's fine. Other people spend a bit more time. But there's a piece in there where you can put in tags, and tags are what you're interested in. So, for instance, you could, if you had a tag out there that was, I don't know, let's come up with one, surfing. I'm in LA, right? So if I had a tag that was surfing, then next time I open the app, any surfing events in the area will be shown to me. So there's a little piece there. It just gets to, I see all kinds of things and that's where we start to use our artificial intelligence based on what we know about you, and also based on the decisions you make using the app. We can better serve you things that you might want to do. So I think, that's one of the things when you're putting in your profile, spend a little bit of time thinking about, each time I use this, it's going to show me things based on my interests or professional interests or personal interests. So spend a little bit of time thinking about what you want to put out there. You can also spend time just going around and looking at people around you. Next to anytime you look at somebody, you have the ability to chat with them. And, a chat, you could be like, hey, we share the same interest. Do you fancy grabbing a coffee? It can be as simple as that.
And what's next for Pod? Where do you take it from here? I know it's very early days. The app's only been out for a couple of weeks, but you're already achieving great success. But what's your vision for it moving forward?
Yeah, we think this, and as I say, an app today goes out to 3.5 billion people. That's like half of the people on the planet immediately, which just shows you the power of the phone. So really what we see is taking it out and just, right now people don't know about it. I say we've got 5 million users, but not everybody knows about the existence of our app and what it can do. So the big thing for us right now is actually we're focusing on education and making sure we have tutorials to show people how to get the most power out of the app. Any community in the world could use it, whether it's a business trying to stay in touch with all of their employees. We can do that with a business tag. Whether it's a soccer team trying to stay in touch with all of the soccer players. It's so easy to build these circles within circles or communities within communities and help people stay connected to the people they care about, but at the same time opening them up to being able to meet new people.
And for anyone listening that would like to find Pod online, and what platforms is it available on? Is there a website where they can just find out more information and those tutorials that you mentioned?
Sure. So we're Google and Google Play and iOS, Apple iOS. We call it Pod. If you can't find it under Pod, put in Pod Network. I think Google hasn't quite picked up on that one yet. Apple is fine with Pod, but I think on Google you might have to put in Pod Network still. Unfortunately, they'll pick it up soon. I couldn't get the website .com right because I think it's about $250,000 to get pod.com right now. So I got pod.io, which is on the West Coast here. That's kind of like most of the techie firms are going for .ios. So we're quite happy with it. We're www.pod.io.
Excellent. Well, I'll have those links to the blog post that will accompany this podcast, just so people can find you nice and easily. But I can't thank you enough for coming on today. And I could listen all day to the stories of how different people are using it and embracing it. I think we'll have to get you on later in the year and get some more of those stories from you. But more than anything, just a big thank you for coming on and sharing how technology really does work best when it brings people together.
Thank you very much, Neil.
I love the story behind Pod and how Dr. Joe Webber founded Pod as a way just to help entrepreneurs, small business owners and freelancers network, connect in person and grow their businesses more effectively. But little did she know there would be people in airports connecting, people all over the world, even a team of wrestlers on their way to the Olympics. And there are so many users there that have adopted the platform so early, despite it only being out for a few weeks. So inspirational stuff indeed. But have you used the Pod platform? What did you like? What did you not like? And are there any other takeaways or questions? Whatever it is, send them my way, techblogwriter@outlook.com, and I'll get straight back to you. And I'll read the messages out on the future episode of the podcast too, because I think not only connecting with each other online and offline, but learning from each other too, that's the sweet spot. So please email me, techblogwriter@outlook.com, tweet me at Neil C. Hughes. And if you need help launching your own podcast or business or with your business blogs, pop by my website, techblogwriter.co.uk. But that's it for me. I'm afraid we're at the end of another episode and I'm going to think about who we're going to have on tomorrow now. So a big thank you for listening. And until next time, don't be a stranger.
Thank you for listening to the Tech Talks Daily Podcast with Neil C. Hughes. Remember, technology works best when it brings people together.